Before I found the Dissonant Right, I was just a normal conservative whose media intake consisted of the usual suspects. However, as my political appetite changed, and events of the real world started to collide with my previously held beliefs, I became increasingly annoyed with my old favorite political commentators. And I still do listen to them quite a bit, just to see what's going on and maybe if I'm wrong or they're right or I've missed something, but I don't think I have. So this video is the conclusion I've come to after 3 years of listening to mainstream conservative media as someone on the dissonant right. In today's world, it's almost impossible to look at what's happening around you and take it at face value. In politics, it would seem as if there is an unbridgeable division between the Democrats and the GOP, that the stakes have never been higher, and the need for a conservative media to speak the truth is at its highest point. On the surface, it also seems that the desire to hear the truth from other sources than the left has been met and fulfilled in the alternative conservative media sphere. But this too is impossible to take at face value. Those who seem to be the source of truth in a world of liars and charlatans are yet a different group of liars and charlatans who at best are simply grifters and at worst are co-conspirators with the left. There appears to be a very large and profitable conservative propaganda network specifically designed to wrangle you in from true dissent and to contain you from becoming too dangerous to the system. I'm calling this the Conservative Grift Complex, or CGC for short. Fox News, The Daily Wire, National Review, The Mug Club, Talk Radio. These all exist for the sole purpose of containment and entertainment, and of course grift and profit for the companies and people involved. The goal of this propaganda network seems to be to indoctrinate people into accepting neocon and liberal ideas and to favor the agendas of the GOP establishment. Fox News will never say that the election was stolen. If they need election analysis, they'll put Karl Rove in your face. National Review will never write an article promoting whiteness, and probably would be the first publication to write the conservative case for eradicating whites. Ben Shapiro says you're a dope if you didn't get the vaccine. Fox News will have General Kellogg on to tell you how bad Russia is and how we need to support NATO and Ukraine, and he'll parrot the same lines as Biden, Kamala, and company. If you regularly listened to talk radio back in the day, you probably agreed with the Iraq War. You probably were really worked up over ISIS. You support the military. You back the blue. You think that blacks should just cooperate with the police and submit because that's exactly what you would do in that situation, and you couldn't ever think of a situation in which you would need to resist authority in any way. You support democracy. You think that we're just one election away from turning the tide and winning our country back. You support civil rights. You think Democrats are the real racist. The Democrats are the real fascists. You support immigration as long as it's the legal kind. You support trickle-down economics, but you'd never call it that. It's actually supply-side economics, okay? It totally works. You support free speech in all of its forms. You oppose book burnings. You think conspiracy theories are harmful and unproductive and not true in any form. These ideas are fundamental to the CGC, and they're all meant to manufacture consent to the system in you. The CGC has carefully pruned its ideology and been sure to only put out voices that will promote a very specific and neutered kind of right-wing philosophy. Isolationists have been removed. Nationalists or populist or America First types have been removed. Any criticism of Israel or suggestions that we decrease the amount of money and missiles we give them have been removed. Those people are anti-Semitic, and they will not be tolerated. Critics of the military-industrial complex have been removed. Paleo-conservatism, gone. Any critique of capitalism or the free market, they have all been removed. These are the rules of the CGC. And if you don't agree with the left, or you don't want to watch CNN or liberal news, you will inevitably be siphoned into this sphere and subconsciously start absorbing these ideals and these rules as the truth. So here's where the grift comes in. Conservative media has the illusion of being alternative, taboo. They could be shut down at any moment because they're so hated and disliked and a threat to the system. Therefore, it's very important that we support them financially in order to keep up the fight. Hence, every current event has the opportunity to become a way for you to show your financial support to the CGC. When the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, was there a call to action from people? Of course not. But oh man, Steven Crowder was so pissed about it. "Tomorrow is war," he said on Twitter. The next day, he tweeted this: "It's time to fight for every square inch. Use promo code FIGHT for 15% off." When Gillette ran their ad attacking straight men with essentially blood libel, Daily Wire announced that they had had enough. "You shouldn't be forced to buy razors from a leftist corporation who hates you." That's why they launched Jeremy's Razors, the razor company for conservatives. They've just launched Jeremy's Chocolates, the conservative chocolate company. See, this is how we win, apparently. Daily Wire has been sponsored by companies like Black Rifle Coffee Company. Basically, the grift is, you insert an ad for a product, but the product has conservative values. Just use the buzzwords of veteran-owned or a conservative just like us, or supports law enforcement, and you're guaranteed to gin up some business. It's essentially consumerism, but just branded towards right-leaning people. And those companies aren't even really conservative when push comes to shove. What's been playing in the background is a Black Rifle Coffee Company ad. Does that scream conservatism to you? They didn't even support Kyle Rittenhouse, which is a layup in the conservative litmus test department. And this is the really nefarious part of the whole grift complex. Not only does it promote weak ideology, but it suckers you into financially supporting weak conservatives and causes. How much money has been sucked out of the conservative movement and funneled into this useless grift? As I'm writing this script, Morgoth just put out a great Substack on incompetence versus malice. One of the characteristics of the CGC is that it rarely ascribes malice to the elites. It will always frame what's happening as incompetence or good intentions gone awry, but never as malicious intent. I'm going to quote some of Morgoth's article here. "At best, the ruling class is indifferent to the well-being of the people over whom they govern. Hanlon's razor fails to adequately explain multiculturalism. The people who believe in the Great Replacement ascribe malicious intent, and those left with the emergent economic argument are conceding that the elites are at best unconcerned with the native population. The dichotomy now is they either hate you or they don't care about you. The individual who learns to live with destructive policies and ideas on the basis that those imposing them are merely stupid invites himself to live with fatalistic apathy and perhaps even nihilism. What's more, having ostensibly understood the root cause of the problem, he needs to search no longer, be inquisitive, or entertain other perspectives. In this way, the incompetence argument allows villains to be free of scrutiny and, most of all, moral condemnation. As a rule of thumb, and this is what Hanlon's razor is, if people veer towards the idea that their rulers are untrustworthy and ill-intentioned or indifferent, the onus is on the rulers to prove themselves worthy and those distrustful incorrect. As long as the ruler is allowed the wiggle room of being thought of as a moron, no moral condemnation can really stick. Within this context, Hanlon's razor is what could be described as a normie or centrist position to hold due to its lack of cynicism and skepticism. Fundamentally, the politicians, institutions, and policies are well-meaning, even if poorly thought out or implemented. This has always been the angle of the CGC, and I think it's a containment tactic that they use to dissuade you from doing what other citizens in other places have historically done, which is to get so angry and fed up with the treasonous behavior that you actually do something about it. Having people believe we're being led by morons is really a way of neutralizing them. One of Rush Limbaugh's rules for life is, the conservative war is between the winners and those who think they're losers who want to become winners. The losers think the only way they can become winners is by banding together all the losers and then empowering a leader of the losers to make things right for them. Now, I'm sure he was referring to the left when he used the word losers. But in actuality, this has been a tactic of the right for decades. The CGC takes advantage of the anger and discontent that boils inside you while the world falls apart to try and convince you that sending a loser to Washington will somehow make a difference, that the system is ran by incompetent boobs, and we need to send someone with common sense up there to DC to turn it all around. The CGC will play endless clips of Jim Jordan ripping Fauci a new one on the stand. He's tearing down the lies. He's exposing the truth. He made an embarrassment out of Fauci. And yet, it makes no difference to how the left advances their agenda, does it? Jim Jordan is playing his role in the CGC. He's one of you. He deserves your votes and continued support so that he can go and be ineffective for yet another term. The CGC consists of a vast network of people like this, all playing their roles. You have the hosts, the guests and pundits that make appearances, the politicians, the intellectuals, the newly converted celebrities, the newly canceled, the perennial all-stars, on and on it goes. There is no purity spiraling in the CGC. Dave Rubin is constantly saying that any day now Bill Maher will come out as a conservative. Now, does Bill Maher resemble a conservative at all? Of course not. Is the definition of a conservative somebody who can see through 50% of the BS on the left? Of course not. But the CGC wants Bill Maher for themselves. They're always wanting to expand their circle to include more and more people, which is naturally going to water down the message and conservatism as a whole. You should be very careful about doing that, and yet the CGC does it as much as possible. I'm not saying everything about the CGC is bad, but what I am saying is that it is purposefully ineffective and designed to keep you from reaching dangerous conclusions for the system. It's a vent, it's a blow-off valve, a way to get you fired up so that you can just go vote for a spineless politician who will stab you in the back the first time they get the chance. And it's to condition you mentally to think that they are better than the Democrats, and so it happens over and over and over. It's the trap that boomer conservatives have been stuck in for 30 to 40 years now. Everything they reference comes from the CGC. All their bumper sticker ideology, their dumb talking points, their hypothetical situations, everything they know about power and politics all comes from this one sphere. And I think it's way past time for us to call it what it is and just move on from it. There's bigger, greener, intellectual pastures out there, and it's time we hop the fence and moved on to them. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. If you enjoyed this video and type of content I'm making, consider giving this video a like or maybe subscribing. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee now if you want to support me there. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.